and all the buildup and all the hours we have put into every team, but now it's down to these two. There's 2 days until Super Bowl LVIII. Peter, what is that one thing you are still looking for answers to on Sunday?
We've dissected this game now for 2 whole weeks, and we've gone through every angle and every X factor and every Jawan Jennings conversation and every how's Logan Ryan going to play a role in this game. We've done it all.
Yeah.
So what's the one thing? I think we're getting comfortable with this Kyle Shanahan cardiac kids deal where they come back from these deficits. In the last 2 weeks, he's kind of erased his narrative of being the guy who can't get the job done or gives the game away. Instead, this team comes back. But this is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
They cannot be stopped in the big spot, and that's what we've learned. So my one thing I'm looking for, 49ers got to come out in the first half, and they've got to put some points on the board. They cannot play this cardiac kids comeback story. The last 2 weeks, their offense, not great in the first half. You go back to the game in the divisional round against the Packers. It looked like they were asleep for the first half of this game. Purdy was not on his game. They threw interceptions. They were incompletes. It didn't look good. They come all the way back in the second half. They have the big plays. 3rd and Jawan, Chris Conley, we know that. How about in the conference championship games? Down 17 points at halftime. And the offense, I think Purdy went 5 of 23 or 5 of 17, something horrendous in the first half. I could be critical because I've watched this team all season long, and the offense has been the driver and the defense hasn't been what it's been. They can't afford to have either unit not be at their best. Look at this, guys. First half offense, the last 2 weeks, 7 points per game. It's just not enough. And you're not going to be able to come back from 20 down. You're not going to be able to come back from 17 down. It doesn't happen against Reed and Mahomes and Kelsey. Those guys don't allow it. And more specifically, Spagnuolo and McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed and the defensive backfield that Anthony Lynn says is the hardest hitting and best tackling defensive backfield in the entire NFL. They're not going to allow you to do it. The 49ers have to come out hot. And Brian Hoyer, you played many years with many different offensive coaches. You also spent time with Kyle Shanahan. He has been scripting these first 15 plays for the last 10 days. These cannot be failures. They have to get on the board early. Yep. I don't think they can afford to fall behind and just rely on the second half cardiac kid stuff they've been doing the last few weeks.
Yeah, 100%. You kind of lead right into what I was thinking. It's to me, this whole matchup is Shanahan versus Spags. And you know, Stacey hit on it, the explosive plays. Kyle, you know, he wants to get that run game going early. The run game then leads to the play actions, and that's where Brock really is, you know, getting those explosive plays. So, you know, with 2 weeks to prepare, Kyle's going to be, you know, he goes into his bunker, he's preparing, he's writing those 15 plays up. And, you know, but on the other hand, Spags is a great coordinator too. A lot of different blitzes. How are they going to do that? And the one thing I remember Kyle telling me is, you know, I always got to stick with the run game because it'll get me the explosives and the play action. So, you know, even if they're getting 2-3 yards a carry, if they're getting 17, 20 yards a pop on those play actions, I mean, he kind of counts that in the run game. So I think it's critical, like you said, to get going early because it can go from 3-3 to 21-3, you know, real quick when you're playing against Mahomes and the Chiefs.
You played for Kyle Shanahan in 2017, so you were there when he first got there, and he's like, I've got Hoyer. I had him in Cleveland in 2014. When you talk about in the bunker, the way that we hear about Kyle, he is obsessed with drawing up plays, and he's a film junkie. What was it like being there in the pilot seat watching him firsthand?
Yeah, Kyle's unique. You know, I mean, he calls plays, obviously he has his call sheet, but he also before the game, he kind of scribbles in his handwriting, hey, this is what I'm really thinking. I know we have the game plan, but as he sits in that locker room preparing for the game, and sometimes I had to go find him. He's in a dark corner, you know, in the bathroom somewhere and sitting down and he's writing them out. He goes, you know, this is what I'm really thinking. And then he watches the game. You know, he's watching, you know, when we run outside zone, is the backside end closing? Can I run a boot? You know, when I run the gap play, are the linebackers sucking up? Can I throw a pop pass behind him? I mean, he's probably the best when it comes to that as far as watching the game. And then sometimes he's not even calling from the sheet. He's calling from his head, which, trust me, with those long play calls, it can get tough, but Brock's done a great job of it.
So, as you guys both discussed this matchup, I'm so eager to watch the scheme element of it. To me, the first thing I want to look at is who brings the juice. I'm a juice guy. I want to see the first 5 plays, the first boom, the first hit stick, the first guy to get lit up, because so much of that dictates the energy of the game, right? Both of these teams want to dictate their physicality, especially on the matchup sides we were discussing there. The 49ers offense with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, and the Chiefs defense, they feel like they have the most physical defensive backs with L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie. We heard Stacey Dales talk about Anthony Lynn saying they're the best tackling secondary. They love to bring Trent McDuffie off of the slot and blitz him. He has more pressures than any other DB 14 coming off those slot blitzes. What does Kyle Shanahan do to be able to offset those? They run a lot of motion pre-snap. Can that motion dissuade Spags from bringing Trent McDuffie on that blitz? Or does he get a game-changing pressure or sack early on? This Chiefs team, 6th in the NFL in blitzes, 36% of their rate. They want to get Brock Purdy off his spot, get him uncomfortable. That is their game plan. If they can dictate that early, that will decide this game. I'm very eager to see that first drive. How does Brock respond? Because I think they're going to bring that heat early.
I'm just so thrilled for all the players in the Super Bowl, or those, sadly, if their season ended after week 18, everyone gets to go on that really great vacation when you're done playing. And sometimes that first night of your vacation, you have the best meal at the hotel restaurant. Then you go on, you have other restaurants, fine. But sometimes you're like, let's run it back one last night and retouch on the fact that appetizer we had, the shrimp cocktail we first got here, was fire. And then it delivers again. Peter, I like what you said about, let's not sleep on the Shanahan thing. It's real. Yeah. We've taken 10 days to take off every ounce of meat off of this game, and we somehow come back to Shanahan. I come back to Brock Purdy. I don't think we can undersell how remarkable and how big of a moment this is for this young man. The whole last pick in the draft thing, we might say, what does he have to do to shake the nature of the judgment behind his play? I don't think he ever will. It's like a birthmark that you're just like, this is what I have. This is when I was drafted. You are not Jared Goff. You are not Tua. You are not Patrick Mahomes. You are not a first-round draft pick. You were the last pick in the draft, and you are about to go play in a Super Bowl. Right. And that is either going to end in the most glorious confetti-style way, or it's not going to go well. It's still going to be the same conversation. We're still going to be talking about where he got drafted and how underestimated he was. The difference today is that when you look up Brock Purdy's name, it's not who is Brock Purdy. It's all these people, Deion Sanders, Matt Rule, Kurt Warner, having commentary about the way you've played and the career you've had thus far. The way Purdy handles this moment, as massive as it is and as impressive as he's been, to me is still the thing that I look most forward to on Sunday.
You're the QB on set. You see it every day. You watch a film. And is he up to snuff? What do you see of Purdy?
Yeah, look, I know there's a negative stigma being called a game manager, but, he's managing the game as good as you can, and that's what Kyle wants. Kyle wants a guy who he's going to give the game plan to. He's going to say, here are the reads, here are the checks, go out there and execute it. Be my avatar out there on the field. Yeah. And Brock with, you look at Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey, Ayuk. He's just dishing it to these guys, and he's done a tremendous job. The guy broke the 49ers passing record.
That's what I'm saying. Most yards
we're talking
ever.
about Joe Montana and Steve Young.
Kaepernick,
and let's not
Garcia.
forget, the greatest of all time, as of right now, Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round. So, it doesn't really matter, and Tom always used to say that it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you finish. And Brock has come on really quick. Even you go back to last year's NFC Championship, if he doesn't get hurt, maybe they're in the Super Bowl last year. Yeah. So, he's done a tremendous job, and trust me, any quarterback would love to be called, game manager and playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Wow. We've never heard it that way, to be Kyle Shanahan's avatar. I'm sure of all the coaches, Kyle Shanahan just wants to plug in and be like, I want to play this like a video game, and Brock Purdy is being the ultimate avatar.